was cold out there. It was damn cold. If I had to guess, I'd say it was about 30 below for most of that winter. Snow as far as the eye could see. I'd just gotten back from working a really tough job. Had to clear out a nest of vampires up in Virginia. Real nasty crew. They'd been feeding on a couple of young folks that they'd abducted from a small town nearby their hideout. The woman was still alive. I gave her an antidote and sent her on her way. She'll be fine physically, but as far as mentally, she'll never truly heal. Now I know what you're thinking. What the hell kind of job does he have? Well, I've been called lots of things, but a hunter is what most people call my profession. I track down and hunt the things that go bump in the night, the things that nobody else wants to deal with because of the dangers. Vamps, zombies, and werewolves, to name a few. I've seen my fair share of crazy shit out there, I'll tell you that right now. Look, I've known you for a long time. Couldn't just bring up the fact that I hunt monsters. For one thing, it's not what one would consider to be a normal profession. And for two, well, I think we both know that two is pretty obvious. Hey, don't look at me like that. You asked me to come here as a personal favor and give you your big news story, so that's what I'm doing. I was already on the fence about this whole thing and judgmental eyes aren't helping. If you'd like, I can walk out those doors right now. I only came here because we go way back. This is your damn story, so take it or leave it. Whether your readers believe a word of it or not, doesn't bother me in the slightest. Alright then. If you want to hear this story, you'll have to keep an open mind and doubts to yourself. Every word I'm about to tell you is the truth. Now where was I? Oh yeah, I hunt the things that go bump in the night. However, this time, the things that go bump in the night decided to hunt me. I don't blame them for coming after me. I mean, I've been killing their kind for years. Stakes to the heart, decapitation, and any other way I could kill them and kill them good. Actually, killing a vamp isn't as hard as you might think. They are fast and vicious, yes, but they can be killed in many ways. Guns, knives, and other special tools. The brain or the heart has always been my motto. Either way, if you destroy the brain or the heart, they die. Just like humans. Not unlike zombies, though. But those undead bastards, it's only the brain that kills them. They don't have a beating heart anymore, so there's nothing to hurt. With the werewolves, he do in fact need silver, just like in the movies. Hollywood surprisingly got a good amount of it right. There's other things out there, of course, but I'll save that for another time. You don't mind if I smoke, do you? Yeah. I've tried giving it up over the years, but every time I have to kill some kind of monster, I always crave a good cigarette afterward. Unfortunately for a lot of people out there these days, business is booming. As I was saying, it was a cold winter. I just got back to my cabin and was planning on hunkering down for the next month or two. Taking a well-earned vacation so I could get ready for more upcoming jobs. Believe me, there's always another job. After a few nights in the cabin, the weather started to get worse. There was one hell of a storm heading my way. Vamps, you see, they're resistant to the cold. Thought they'd have some kind of advantage by attacking me during the storm. They're not resistant to buckshot or a 12-inch blade, that you can bet your ass on. Let me ask you something. Do you meditate? I do every night. Keeps my mind nimble and ready for anything. You should try it sometime. Anyway, I did my nightly meditation and decided it was time to relax. Poured me some bourbon to take the rest of the edge off. Nothing like a good double oak bourbon to quiet my mind. Sometimes I can't even sleep without this stuff if I'm being honest. So I'm sitting there with my drink next to the fire, trying to relax when I hear a noise outside. A loud thud is the best way to describe it. I go and open the door, but all I can see is white snow pouring down. Probably couldn't see 3 feet in front of me because of the storm, but I could smell them. The thing about vamps is that they're somewhat undead. Not like a zombie, the flesh doesn't really rot, but it becomes stale. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to tell, but when you've tangled with the bastards as many times as I have, it's a smell you can't forget. Now, maybe it was just my imagination, but I decided to grab my tools and gear up just in case. Shot that warm bourbon down my throat and cracked my neck. About a minute later, a window breaks towards the back of the cabin. Now, with all my experience through the years and breaking a few windows myself, I know what it sounds like when someone breaks a window on purpose. At this point, my guard is up and my adrenaline is in high gear. As hard as my blood was pumping, those bastards could probably smell me just like I could smell them. They just can't help themselves. Sure, some of them have learned to control it fairly well to fit in with regular people, but the smell of blood makes their palms sweat. They start to salivate like rabid dogs, and before you know it, they've lost all control. I lifted up my shotgun and switched off the safety. She was already loaded. My dad always told me that an empty gun is a useless gun. Grabbed my knife, belt, strapped it on just in case there were any kind of close encounters. Now, how these sons of bitches found me, I still don't know, but they found me. They were there and they were pissed. I stood in the living room just waiting for them. Sure enough, 4 of these ugly bastards came walking in through the hallway covered in snow. I could feel the cold breeze across my face from the broken window. "So, here to get revenge for your friends, huh?" I asked them. The ugliest one snarled at me and showed his teeth. Long, sharp bastards they were. The spit oozed from his mouth like a dog looking at a fresh piece of meat. I was as fresh as they came, warm blood pumping through my veins. They didn't say a word. They weren't there to talk. "Well, which of you blood-sucking freaks wants it first?" I asked. They all looked at me with their cold, dark eyes and made hissing sounds through their jagged, blood-stained teeth. "How about you, ugly? You look like you could use a nice makeover," I said with a big shit-eating grin. "Well, I hate to break it to you, but the only heads that are gonna roll tonight are yours." You can bet your ass I kept that big smile on my face. Now, don't get me wrong, I was a little uneasy. Usually when I take out a nest of those fuckers, I do so with lots of planning and precision. I take them out quietly, see, one at a time if I can. I've never been face to face with 4 of these ugly bastards getting ready to go head on. I was uneasy, but I didn't let it show. In my line of business, you can't let it show. If they see the fear in your eyes, it's all over for you. There was about 10 feet between me and them. I calculated in my head that I'd be able to get 1 shot off with my shotgun, 2 if I was lucky. The rest was going to have to be up close and personal with my knife. Have you ever killed anything with a knife? It's a lot more personal than with a gun. You get to look right into their eyes and watch them go straight back to hell where they came from. We stood in that room just staring at each other for what felt like hours, even though it was probably only a few seconds. Without warning, 3 of them came running at me in full force, while 1 stayed behind. Probably figured that in the unlikely event that I took the 3 out, that 1 of them would have to survive to report back to the nest. Now these bastards could move. Before I knew it, they had already covered half the distance between us. I raised the shotgun and pulled the trigger. The recoil pushed my shoulder back as the blast tore right through the head of 1 of those bastards. Brain matter and blood filled the air. I had just enough time to get that second shot off as they came flying through the air at me with their sharp claws. The second round went right into the chest of the one closest to me and stopped him dead in his tracks. The third one landed right on top of me. She was a feisty one, I'll give her that. Scratching and clawing at my face, snapping her long sharp teeth at my neck and drooling all over my shirt. I reached into my belt and grabbed my 12-inch buck knife. With 1 hand down, my face was exposed and that bitch took a chunk out of my cheek with 1 of her mangled claws. As you can see, the scar hasn't healed well. Just before she got to my throat, I thrust the knife up through the bottom of her jaw and out the top of her skull. Her eyes rolled in the back of her head and her mouth twitched. Her fangs immediately retracted back into her gums. You see, as soon as they die, they revert back into human form. That's why you never hear any police reports of dead vampires popping up in the news. I pulled the knife out and threw her limp body on the floor. She gurgled and twitched for a moment, but she was done for. The fourth one, the one that didn't come at me, well, he was a little shell-shocked. His eyes were wide with horror of just having watched his little sparkly friends get pulverized by my tools. Yeah, I'll admit it. I've seen those movies. Gotta keep an open mind in this business. Never did see any of them sparkle, though. Anyway, his eyes met mine, and with a cool, calm voice, I asked, "You want some too, pretty boy?" He bolted out the back as fast as he could go, then to the broken window. Just like that, he was gone. Out into the stormy, cold night. I didn't have the strength to chase after him. Plus, I wouldn't last 10 minutes out in that storm, not unlike these cold-blooded monsters. There was also a bottle of good bourbon that wasn't going to drink itself. I put my knife back in my belt, sat down, and poured a big smoky glass of the good stuff. Almost filled the whole glass. My hands were shaking for about an hour. Finally, after that, I put the fire out, put some tape over the broken window, got a good solid night's sleep. The next day, the storm had lifted, so I had to get the place cleaned up. Took those vamps to the wood chipper and found a place to bury what was left of those bastards. Obviously, I had to leave the cabin for good. It's too bad, you know. I really did love that cabin. I always hoped that maybe one day you'd come out and see it. Unfortunately, now it's nothing but a big pile of ash. Found myself a pretty nice replacement, though. Even has central heating, can you believe that? Still, I'd do anything to have that old cabin back. So, that's pretty much that. Now, I know it sounds a bit far-fetched, but every word of it's true. Well, almost every word. You don't look surprised by my story. It's almost like you, already knew the whole story. And a funny thing, though, man, you're probably gonna laugh. The only person I've ever told about my cabin was you. I lied about not knowing how they found me. And I know it was you. Oh, what? You thought I didn't know why you wanted to meet. You really thought the bullshit newspaper article story was gonna work? Come on. I can tell you've tried to cover it up, but come on. I could smell you and your stale flesh from a mile away. Now the fact that they got to you really breaks my heart. There's nothing I can do about that now. I always liked you, and I won't take pleasure in this. You know, you really should meditate. Keeps the mind sharp and ready. I know that there are a few more waiting outside, and they should be coming through that door any minute. Oh, don't look surprised, old friend. I'm a professional after all. Don't worry. I brought all my tools. Here they come now. Well, I hate to break it to you, but the only heads that are gonna roll tonight are yours.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Dark and Twisted Tales. This week's episode, Frostbite, was written and produced by William Bowser. If you'd like to hear more Dark and Twisted Tales, please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, and good night.